Welcome back to another episode of the Really Caddy podcast.
We are back again, yet again.
Yeah,
Here we are.
little technical issue there again.
Happened yet again. We had probably 25 minutes of some of the best audio we've ever recorded on this podcast. Just lost.
Brutal.
And this time it wasn't Big G's fault.
Yeah, Michael didn't kick it out the wall. It was power cut.
A sudden power outage, and power's still out. We got a little generator here that we're recording on, but we couldn't charge on that. Like, what's our battery? What's our charge on?
We got 1% left in that thing,
Okay.
so
Well, we better talk quick.
episode 150.
150
you believe
and a
that?
half, yeah.
Well, including the one from before, it's really 151. But
Yeah.
hey,
We're back officially. We're back.
a lot of rain.
A lot of rain. Been raining a lot. There's been a lot happening. You know, Caesar he's often talked about from people who listen to this podcast, but we haven't really talked about him at all lately because Caesar's been gone. Caesar is actually back.
Caesar's back.
He is back. Caesar was put on somewhat of a little timeout. Here at the resort, we operate under contracts, and every caddy's under a contract.
I actually think it's a really good system, and I think they could invoke it a lot more often.
Yeah, and it's been talked about, and the management has never really done it. And Caesar was kind of their test run, and the head manager told me, he's like, Caesar's got a lot of complaints. A lot's been going on with Caesar. I'm like, I understand that. And he's like, we're not going to fire him. We're not going to terminate, but we're going to pause his contract. So we're not going to offer him a contract. And that's what they did. So I was under the impression he was done. We'd probably never see him again. And we haven't seen Caesar up until a few weeks ago. So I come in to do one of my loops at the week course and getting out of my car, and I look over and it's been a while since I've seen him. So I wasn't sure. I was like, that looks like Caesar, but it can't be. So
Has he put on some timber? Has he put on some
not
weight?
really. He looked pretty slim. And
Okay.
So I look over and he looks at me and his head's kind of down. He's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, hey, what's up, man? And so I walk down to the caddy bench, and he walks right to the tee. So he goes out and he's doing a job. And usually you go to by the caddy bench, check in with the manager. And I go down to the manager. I'm like, hey, Derek. I'm like, who's that up on the tee, that caddy? He goes, yeah, it's who you think it is. I'm like, no. He's like, yeah, that's Caesar. I'm like, Caesar's back?
Caesar's back.
He's like, Caesar's back. He's back working. And I was like, wow. I'm like, good for Caesar. Give guys a second chance. And, he was right in front of me that day, and it wasn't too bad. Like, he wasn't too loud, wasn't a lot of hoorah, wasn't yelling weak horse, wasn't, riding on the back of the cart like Caesar on his chariot. He was just doing his job. And so we get done, everything's fine. He's working there the next day, and it's a shotgun. Again, he's directly in front of me.
Meant to be. So he's directly in front of me. He's still doing an okay job. So there's a pretty big backup when we get to the 16th hole. So my player's kind of chatting with Caesar, and he's in front of us, my player, and then Caesar's like, hey, man, I told my guys back there, because we're actually in front of him. So Caesar's out in 4 caddy position. Okay. His guys are on the tee. He's like, I told my players to go, just left of the tree out here, but there's no tree. We lost the tree. I didn't realize the tree was gone. He's like, I haven't been out here in a few months. And I'm like, I was like, Caesar, you were gone for a few months, but you were here yesterday. You should have realized that tree was not there. And but he seems like he's doing okay. And then so a couple days later, he's on the bench and he's talking to the manager, and he's talking about how he's been working. He works at one of the private clubs, prestigious private clubs, and he's talking about the legendary Caddies and how one of the caddies. He pitches, or he used to, like, he was legendary. He pitched his tent out in 14 after the round. He would just sleep there, come in, get wasted, come in for his loop the next day, do it every day. He's like, it's awesome, legendary. And I'm like, I look at him like, yeah, Caesar, that's really something to aspire to. Do you really believe that happened?
I don't know.
I've heard all sorts.
There's
of
so
stories.
many. You know how the caddy mill is. Once they start telling stories, it gets passed off.
Don't believe a word.
Yeah.
Don't believe a word.
It's crazy, but he's back, and I wish him well. I mean, he. Did you know he was coming back, or did
Actually,
you?
I got a text message from one of our listeners, Adam Green.
Oh, he loved
Super
some
fan.
Caesar. He had some Caesar moments.
Big LA Chargers fan as well, apparently.
Yeah.
But he had texted me and said, "Oh, I'm working with Caesar." Didn't know he was back. And I asked him what his behavior was like.
His performance was okay?
He said he was very subdued.
Yeah.
He's obviously had his tail between his legs. He's learned his lesson a little bit. And I said, well, see how long that lasts, because leopards, spots, changing.
Yeah, not too frequent, but I have high hopes for Caesar. I'm hoping he's around for a while.
Well, I'll have a couple of jobs later in the year where we'll have multiple caddies needed. So
I feel we need to have him on a job, or maybe even have him on the podcast.
For sure. I bet he'd come on the podcast. We should have him on the podcast. Our listeners want to hear from Caesar himself.
I feel as if there's a bit of a kinship, almost like a little brother, a wee brother, Zabbo's wee brother, Caesar.
I know, and I
Take him under your wing.
I don't talk to him that frequently. I need to make more of an effort with Caesar.
You could take him under your beard. How about that?
He would fit.
Talking about badly behaved caddies, Michael, here's one for you.
Okay.
I was called in after day one of a 3-day job by a friend of mine.
Okay.
And he asked if I could fill in because the other caddy didn't make the grade for day 2 and day 3.
Happens.
There's a lad playing in the group. Very good looking boy. It's quite
Striking.
obvious. Yeah, he's very striking features.
Yeah, you can tell. Yeah.
Yeah, he could have been a male model type thing. Very kind of feminine features in a way. Perfect skin, etc. Good hair.
Kind of like me, yeah.
Kind of like yourself, yeah. And on the 5th tee, I said to Spence, I said, I tell you, I bet he doesn't struggle with the women, huh?
Uh-huh.
And then Spence turns to me and said, yesterday, and he tells me the caddy, not a ball has been hit in the air. This caddy is not in the group. This caddy has nothing to do with the player. The player has never met him before.
Uh-huh.
And this caddy walks up. He's a creeper, right?
Yeah, you've named about 80 caddies.
Yes. we're whittling them down.
Yeah.
And he walks up to this player and says, "Oh, you have the most beautiful eyes
Oh my
I've ever
goodness.
seen." He's like, "Oh, your eyes are so beautiful." Oh,
He went out of his way to walk up to the player
and do that.
Wow.
And what do? I guess like the player just kind of hightailed it.
Yeah, what's his reaction when
Well, what do you do? It's that's
say
that's
thank
harassment.
you and move along? It is. What do you do if that's a woman and you do that? You just walk up to the tee and you say to a woman, like a caddy goes up to a woman and says that?
Point.
Like,
That's a really good point. Like,
what would happen?
Listen, it's one thing when
Double
you do
standard.
it in a bar, a nightclub, in a coffee shop, wherever you're trying to, pick up trim. And you say that it's a pickup line.
Yeah.
Like I've always said, peacocks have feathers, we have patter. But that's shocking. I never thought about that. If you did that to a woman on the first
it'd
tee,
be termination.
Termination.
If you did it to a woman and she complained, be termination. What if the guy complained?
Yeah.
Like that's. But a guy's not going to complain about that because he's probably flattered.
he never even told his mates, because I was the one that told the mates. Yeah, big mouth here. But then I told your wee pal Josh Fisher yesterday, and then Fisher tells me a story about how another caddy, another creeper, who's very of the same ilk, let's say, as
Even
beautiful
relation,
eyes, and he was caddying for a player. The creeper was. The player took his pullover off, his jumper, he's folded it up. Caddy takes it in both hands, goes, like buries his face in it, sticks his beak in it, and then he goes, "Oh, you smell so good."
I know this story because I know the player it happened to.
You know the player.
And I caddy for him
Wow.
frequently, and he listens to the podcast. So maybe we don't mention his name, but maybe I sneak in a shout out to him at the end of the episode because he listens, and this happened to him, and that caddy no longer caddied for him after that. He was a little creeped out.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with a wee bit of banter, right? You know what it's like when there's a female on the golf course, there's a bit of skirt out there. Every single male is standing to attention, getting the rangefinder out, checking things
Caddies,
out.
players, everybody, yes.
And like there was one a couple of weeks ago
Marshals.
where we were at the wee course, 9th hole. I'm working with a guy, really good guy. 2 women are walking down the cart path towards us, and it's almost like everyone, it's slow motion.
Uh-huh.
Everyone stops and looks. I go up to the tee and I watch the other caddy, and he pushed the brim of his hat up, and he pulled the sunglasses down to the end of his nose,
Slicked back the hair.
and he, in what I can only describe as a 1850s Western Wyatt Earp type voice, said, "Good afternoon, ladies."
Smoothing it over here.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. That's perfectly acceptable. But to be sniffing another man's clothes,
Yeah.
or telling another man that his eyes are beautiful, that you don't
Just
even
weird.
know, that's
Just weird.
just bad. That's weird. Maybe a 3-month losing your privileges.
Yeah, maybe let's not renew the contract for a little bit. Take a time out.
Well, moving on from badly behaved caddies to badly behaved golfers, Michael.
Okay.
I came across this past week the most drunk and perhaps poorly behaved golfer, maybe ever, certainly in a very long time.
That's saying a lot because we've seen a lot of drunkies.
You're always good at naming
A lot of
people anonymously. So let's say there's a host of the group. What do you want to call him?
Okay, Kyle.
Kyle is hosting 3 clients. And I am caddying for the drunk client. What do you want to call him?
Marcus.
Kyle and Marcus. So Kyle is hosting 3 people. Marcus is a big client of Kyle. He turns up late. Everyone's teed off.
Marcus is running a little late.
Marcus is running late. Kyle tells me that he's struggling, which means only one thing.
Rough night.
And
too
morning.
Much sauce, yeah.
And the first thing Marcus says to me is, I need a drink. So, okay, needs to...
They'll pick me up. We'll hear the dog.
The dog, fair enough. Chops it around, and then he's jumping in the golf cart with me. I'm driving. He's next to me. He's on the phone to his wife, and he's doing that whole voice that... every man does.
We had a good night. We had a little.
I was in bed by about 9:30. Yeah,
had a little meeting. Talked about mergers and acquisitions, and the new company.
Well, turns out this guy, because first green, he's on his phone, he's texting, he's not paying attention, he's not exactly a golfer.
Yeah.
Actually, before that, as we drive up to the second tee, the group ahead, some Korean lads. Remember that guy that actually told you that if he wasn't gay, but if he was gay.
Oh, I remember him well, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
See, in that exact position, that same place, Marcus said to these 4 Korean lads, who couldn't speak English, by the way, he drove up on them and said, "Oh, what a great looking group of boys you are." So a lot of gay theme going on around this episode, which I thought was bizarre, but he was still drunk, so fair enough. He doesn't listen to any information in the first. We get up the second. I asked Kyle. I said, "How bad was he? Was he out of order last night?"
Yeah.
He says, "Why'd you ask?" I said, "Well, he's already asked me for cocaine."
Seriously?
Yes, he was asking me. And by the way,
for
for the record, I neither do cocaine or sell it.
That is true. You are not a pusher or a user.
However, we do know people that can sort you out. So
we can get your phone number. Yeah.
We don't judge.
Yes.
However, I thought that was a really strange introduction, but again, we have a high tolerance for nonsense.
We sure do. We have to.
We get to the third. Kyle then tells me that the night before at dinner, they'd had to leave the restaurant. Very nice restaurant, actually, in Carmel. Had to leave. Marcus choked on his food, caused a little bit of a scene. But during the meal, and by the way, Kyle and the other 2 lads seem very, very normal. They're down there for a couple of days of golf, bit of fellowship.
Yeah, they're fine.
Business.
Yeah, they're hanging out.
Yeah.
Not going overboard.
Few drinks.
Yeah.
And this guy obviously has completely changed the pace of everything. He's going Formula 1 and everyone else is BMX. Yeah. And he apparently brings his phone out. He starts calling on speakerphone his dealer in San Jose.
At the
dinner table.
Yeah, that might get you booted up. So, I need some cocaine over here. A little cocaine.
Shocking, right? So that's fair enough. So Marcus tells me that he's not going to drink, spirits.
Not hard alcohol.
No, he's going to only have a couple of beers. Well, what did he get?
Double tranny.
Boom. Boom. Takes a couple of tequilas to go. And things get louder and louder. It's fine. The golf, any decent golf there was, he fell apart.
Gotcha.
I kind of felt sorry for the other boys because they were trying to be serious about the game. They were enjoying it.
Trying to play.
But by about the 14th, I'm now kicking his ball, hitting it 150 yards for him. He's like, "Where's my ball?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's up here. Don't worry, it's on the green." You hit it in the green. He's clueless. I then got to the 15th hole. I'm having a conversation with Kyle. I'll not go into it in too much detail, right? Because it doesn't matter. We thought that Marcus was asleep in the cart. We say something, and next thing, Marcus sparks out the cart and starts calling.
Lit a fuse under him.
It's something completely unrelated, by the way, right? It had nothing to do with what we were talking about. But he just goes bananas. And he starts shouting at us, calling us dickheads and assholes. And I was like, whoa, you have a host that's bringing you here, paying for everything, paying for you to get this trashed.
Give it to him.
And you're going to start abusing them. And then the other 2 dudes who are just there for fun, who are married with kids and just enjoying their 2 days away, are having to listen to this. So, of course, I'm not the kind of guy to just stand there.
You're definitely not.
And have someone else be called a name, never mind myself.
Yeah.
So I gave it back to him with interest. Because I'm thinking, hey, what's he going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
He's completely out of order.
Is he going to go in the pro shop after and complain in his state?
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
He's like, oh, well, he kind of backs down.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's trying to get me to ride in the cart with him. And I'm like, no, I'm not riding with you.
Yeah, get out of here.
So I'm going to walk this one. You ride yourself. We go down 16. The players, the other 3 guys plus the other caddy end up on the green. And I'm still, Marcus is walking around in the rough on the left-hand side. I walk up to him with a couple of clubs and he's got his back turned to me. And the reason he's got his back turned to me is he's thrown up all over the fairway.
Oh, jeez. You imagine being that group behind them.
Yeah.
Witnessing that.
Left clean in
Where's
place.
your target line? That big pile of puke out there. You see that guy puking?
So it didn't get much better. He kind of distanced himself. The host, Kyle, then said to me, I feel really bad now because these other 2 dudes, I can't invite them in the same trip again.
Of course not.
They won't go.
Yeah, of course
and
not.
He's stuck between a rock and a hard place because this guy's a big client. I do know people at this guy's, other people in the industry.
Yeah.
And I already mentioned to them, gave his name. I'm like, this guy's a mess. You might want to think twice about ever doing anything with him.
There you go.
The Kyle, the host, is then he looks very stressed because he's thinking, well, I can't let this guy drive home.
It's a
because
tough
they're
one.
2 hours away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he's like,
yeah.
I might have to end up getting roped into staying here.
Jeez.
So we jump in the carts to go back to the pro shop, and as you know, we have a new gravel road that you go on. The tarmac's no longer there.
Yeah. Little reroute.
So Marcus insists that he's going to drive. Yeah, great idea. And the difference between tarmac and gravel is gravel slides. So he's just foot down, going around the corner.
Yeah.
I can feel it start sliding.
He's
It's
drifting.
drifting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can feel it on top. So I jump off, and because my 190 pounds jumps off, the steering was able to catch up on itself, and he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't take out the entire fence or the people standing next to it.
That's always good. Yeah.
We got done. Kyle paid me handsomely.
Good.
Thanked me very much for putting his client in his place. And there you go.
And hopefully you never have to see Marcus again.
Oh, we'll never see Marcus. I don't think he'll be invited back.
Yeah.
Probably there you
won't
go.
be.
What I mean, like, come on. I just say I don't judge. I've probably been in
Yes,
far
you
worse states.
judge. You
I love to comment,
yeah.
but I really don't care. When you caddy for someone that out of control, it's just tiring, Michael.
It is. It's
just tiring.
It's exhausting. You're babysitting.
You're
We do
babysitting.
a lot of babysitting.
But we get paid to do it, and it's like, I don't care what you do, just kind of keep up. And
Yeah.
the other thing, he kept on feeling us up.
Oh,
Kept
a
on telling
touchy
us.
feeling?
Yeah, he was kept on telling us, oh, you're beautiful guys. Oh, you're such a good looking guy. And he's feeling
players
us.
and caddies,
Yeah,
or?
players, caddies.
Anybody could get
Anyone
his hands on.
could get his hands on it. I thought it was really weird, and I thought there's a bit of a gay element here. It has to be.
Yeah.
So, a lot of that going around.
Yeah.
Maybe something in the water. What you got to finish us off in stories, Mike?
A lot of fun people in town, like old acquaintances. Caddy, just people I've caddied for years. I caddied for a group, that Kopi Cup that you really, you think you're about to avoid it. But Larry Atlas, Lonnie Fleming, and James Forsythe, those guys I caddied for years. But anyways, I had this other one, really good time. It was 3 days, absolutely phenomenal golf, fun time. So this guy, Rich Lemansky, I caddied for him at Boston Golf.
Oh, you like to name
Boston
throw,
Golf.
don't you?
His Rich Lemansky is a great
Rich.
dude. I caddied for Rich. I actually probably haven't seen Rich in 25 years, but his brother, Steve Lemansky from New York, you would love
New York.
Steve. Oh, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Gem. So he comes out, another guy, Steve Greenlaw, and we it was actually the day of our last podcast. I said, I got to get out of here, got a loop to do.
Yep.
So I show up at the Wee course, and it's wide open. Nobody paired with us. We're just a twosome. Nobody in front of us. I'm like, this is beautiful. These guys, there's no pictures being taken. There's no practice swings. We step up and hit the ball. We're through 7 holes in like 45 minutes. I text you. I'm like, dude, I'm on 7. You're like, well, hope it holds up for you, buddy. You're going to run into a group. And I've noticed this, not so much in club caddying, because it's happened in club caddying. Caddies don't care, but in resort caddies despise when you play through them, and they will do anything to prevent you from playing through them. And this caddy, we were coming up on him. We were like hour and 20 minutes through the front 9. Yeah, maybe even less. But anyways, we get to like 11 and we're waiting on him. We're waiting on all of 12, and we could see he's trying to like hustle up his people to not let us through. And it's like, dude, there's nobody in front of you. There's nobody behind us. Just let us through. It's ridiculous. And finally, we get to the par 3 there on 13, and his players are like, all right, ladies using the bathroom, like, why don't you guys just come through? Breeze right through him. The caddy wouldn't even look at me. He wouldn't even look at the players. He was disgusted by the fact that we played through him. It was a little disheartening.
It's a thing I've noticed between Scotland and America.
Yeah.
Where I have never had a problem with that. There seems a concept here that nobody lets anyone through. We would do it all the time, especially at a club.
Yeah.
Someone's looking for a ball, right? Play through.
Mm-hmm.
Off they go. And you always tell people, don't rush. It's fine. Listen, it is what it is. And if we were playing a match or a round as members, I used to always do it at Turnberry, where if they were guests and they were slow, I'd be like, guys, club championship, step aside, please.
That's a good move.
I honestly...
Move aside.
I remember having a huge fight with one of the marshals at Turnberry about this because, well, I would be about 25, 26 at the time, so I've mellowed somewhat. But I just thought, we're flying round, step aside, some French people, they were happy to step aside.
Exactly.
We play through, then he gets in my face in the sixth, and I used the word "do your job," so I don't have to do it.
Exactly.
And he flipped out, and I put him in his place as well. So
you got it sometimes,
you know. But I've noticed that over here that this concept of letting people through.
It's
come on,
people get upset. My favorite one ever. This one, this was so good, and I don't think I've ever told this story on the podcast.
Okay.
And this caddy, I mean, I get along with this caddy now, but this was back in like 2015, and it's middle of winter, and we're coming up on like noon, and there's an 11:30 two doubles, and I go up for the two doubles at 11:15, which by our contract is supposed to be up there 15 minutes before, so it's like 11.
Oh, sorry.
Exactly. Gordon wouldn't know about that. So it's like 11:20, 11:22 or whatever, and I'm about to meet the players, and this other caddy walks up and says, "You need to get off this tee. That's not your job. That's my job." I was like, "What are you talking about? It's an 11:30 job. It's 11:20. I was up here 15 minutes before." He goes, "You need to learn the pecking order around here. You need to step down off that tee and get back down on the bench." And I was like, "You know what? I'm not going to cause a scene. I'm going to go back to the bench." Figured I'm not going to work for the rest of the day. And 20 minutes later, Mike Jansen, who's a former pro here, he's no longer here. He's at Corral. But anyways, real good guy. He's like, "You know what? You know who's on the tee sheet at 12:20?" He goes, "Larry Fitzgerald's on the tee sheet. He always takes caddies. I bet he's going to take a caddy." I'm like, "All right, I'll wait around." And that was how I met Larry Fitzgerald. So he plays with Andre Roberts. And the reason I mention this story now is because he's playing with Andre Roberts. This is 40 minutes later after their tee time. We get to the seventh hole, and we play up on him. There's nobody in front of them. And his players, like, they see it's Larry Fitzgerald, Andre Roberts. We're like, "Why don't you play through?" So on the first hole, Larry's like, "Hey, man, what are you doing in a few weeks? You want to caddy for me in the AT&T?" And that was the first year. So he let me through. That one decision on his part to screw me over was kind of somewhat life-changing for me. I mean, we ended up, then I meet Streelman, caddy for him.
Fall in
Larry
love.
Wheels, get out of here. But
you've got beautiful eyes, Kevin.
But crazy how that works out. Like, karma's a bitch. Like, that would have been his job had he just done his job by the contract.
Well, do you know what? We'll take a quick break, Michael, and I'm going to find out who this caddy was that wouldn't let you through the other week, because I think there could
he's
be
a good dude,
there
but
could be an undertone.
Yeah.
So we'll be back with mailbag questions and shout-outs in a minute. So I just found out who the caddy was, and it all makes sense now. So
there you go. There you have it.
I think the whole thing goes a little bit deeper than just etiquette, Michael.
Maybe, but I've made my peace with it. I'm not sure they have, but I have.
Cool. Well, as I said earlier, episode 150. If you're new to the podcast, there's 149 previous ones.
Good
Go
ones.
back and listen. Really good fun.
We're talking about the return to Caesar. Why don't you listen to the one where it all started?
Exactly.
The greatest caddy complaint of all time.
Yep. And if you have any questions for the podcast, email them in, podcast@glorifieddonkey.com, or you can send it in on one of the social networking platforms. First question, Michael.
Okay.
Do you guys prefer match play or stroke play, playing the game or caddying? Andy Kwang from Portland, Oregon.
I prefer stroke play when I'm playing. Mm-hmm. Prefer match play when I'm caddying.
Why would that be?
Picking the ball up. We're done. Hole's won. We're not worried about bogey par. We're just worried about beating the other guy. It's fun to caddy match play, like legitimate match play, especially if you have like you're carrying two bags and it's like one best ball match play against the other guy's one best ball. It's like only one score needs to count, and then we move along. But then it gets complicated because sometimes they're playing best ball match play, but if you tie, it goes to the second ball. So then we got to worry about the freaking 8s and 9s the second guys are making after you. Oh, well, we got a 4 there, but the other guy still matters because he has a 4. And it's like, get out of here. Just take the low ball and be done with it.
I always found a match play I was really good at because I'd always have maybe one blow-up hole, 2 blow-up holes in my stroke play.
For sure.
So I could do very well for
enjoyable.
16, 17 holes, and then my match play. So I was a good match player.
Less stressful, for sure.
The thing about match play is you can then get inside your opponent's head.
Oh, yeah.
In a way where it's different. It's almost you're sort of boxing, just jabbing away.
Correct.
Somebody I used to play with always told me this. That was nonsense. But he'd say, "Oh yeah, when I'm playing match play, I'll give guys like a 5-footer in the first couple of holes, then I'll make them putt a 2-footer."
Yeah.
And I kind of get in their head. I'm thinking, yeah, how did that work for you? But I think if you're a decent, it doesn't really matter your standard of play. But as a decent golfer, stroke play was wonderful. I loved that. Yeah. Just having you against the course.
Yeah, I like that.
And then always loved to get back in.
Did you say who asked that question?
Yeah, a guy called Andy Kwang from Portland, Oregon.
Thanks, Kwang.
Oh, Kwang. I think you're right about the caddying because, but again, where we work, it doesn't matter unless.
I mean, if we go
caddies ain't going to let you through.
Beyond that, I mean, I like a scramble more than anything when I'm getting 4 caddy for 4 scramble chain loop.
Oh, we had a scramble a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
it was. They're absolutely.
I'm going to talk. Yeah, that's an unbelievable story that I'm going to talk about on our next podcast.
Okay, excellent.
You won't believe this one,
Andy. Thank you for that question. But there you go. Hopefully, we answered that. You guys are always ripping in the PGA Tour and pro golf.
Damn straight we are.
What do you think golf can do to grow its audience? John P. from Monterey, California.
Now I want to know who John P. is.
John P. Local.
John P. Well, regardless, I mean, it's pretty clear what they need to do. They need to play less tournaments and have the best players play together more often. They need to have any guy on LIV who wants to play on any of these major tournaments be able to play if they're good enough to play in it. Mm-hmm. Official world golf rankings need to be legitimate. They are not legitimate, and they haven't been for the past 4 years. It's absolutely absurd. It's absurd. Mm-hmm. Bryson DeChambeau, probably the best golfer in the world. Certainly 1 or 2. Rory right now, it's tough to bet against Rory. Rory is playing amazing golf, but John Rahm, all those guys. Joaquin Niemann right now, one of the best players in the world, hands down. And it's just it's so not legitimate right now. It's a joke. And that the only thing that's going to bring it back together is to have these guys play golf together more often. Mm-hmm. And less tournaments. There need to be less tournaments, and the better players need to play together more often. Mm-hmm. Period. That's the only thing that's going to solve it, in my eyes.
Yeah. If they're not going to bring them all together for stroke play, they could have tournaments, LIV Golf versus PGA Tour.
This match play, LIV versus PGA.
That'd be more interesting than the Monday night garbage that they came up with.
Yeah, they kind of tried that with the Bryson and Brooks versus Rory and Scotty, but I don't even know who won that. I wasn't watching that. It's not interesting to me. I want to see them play tournaments against each other.
I think they have to play quicker.
That too. LIV does a good job of that.
I know Craney was talking about. I do think that he says that it can't be done, but if you find them or give them shots.
Yeah, it has to be done.
You can't be spending 3 minutes, 4 minutes to look at a putt and then miss it.
Correct.
It's ridiculous. It's not good viewing.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. So,
thank you, John P.
And I don't know. Like, are you really? I really don't think that you will grow the audience. I think there's people that will watch golf and there's people that won't. And me personally, when I saw you yesterday, leaving the course and you're rubbing your hands together, you wee pause and you're like, "Oh, the players! Oh, it's going to delay! Oh, brilliant!" I'm like,
I was happy about the players. It's to me, I still enjoy watching the majors, and the players to me it's almost like a major.
Good finishing holes, actually. By the way, I was down in the gym lifting weights, and then the TV was on.
Well, and then it was kind of anticlimactic because JJ Spawn and Rory had a aggregate playoff, and Spawn blew it in the water on 17 and made double or something. And,
I think is it 15? Is it 16, 17, 18? Good holes there.
Yeah.
Well, the water comes into play. There's a par 5 water to the right.
Correct.
Then you get 17 island green, then 18 water all the way up the left.
Correct.
Guys, good finish. No,
it is.
That's good for a tournament. So they had a good job, folks. Well done. Next question. You boys are always talking about carts versus walking, etc. I was attracted to golf for the fitness aspect as well as the challenge golf poses. I've lost 15 pounds since I started playing. Oh, congratulations. Well done. Do you recommend all golfers to walk? And that comes from a Richard Boyle. in a place called Salmon Arm.
Yes, I do.
And do you know where Salmon Arm is?
Salmon Arm?
Yeah, take a guess. Think about it. Salmon Arm.
Somewhere in the Pacific Northwest.
British Columbia.
Yeah. There you go.
Canada. So,
Salmon
do you recommend all golfers to walk?
I do. Yeah, you walk as much as you want to walk, and I'll take my card. No, but I have been carrying bags more frequently, and I don't mind it. I like it. I'm not taking one of those push carts. The Elwies, which we've talked about at length, are not in operation right now. And you know what? That doesn't bother me. I am fine carrying golf bags. I am perfectly fine, and I will always carry golf bags. Given the option, would I take the Elwee? Wouldn't turn it down, but I am perfectly fine carrying golf bags.
Yeah, I think in general, you think he's asking about golfers. I would encourage you, if you feel like it, to walk. Don't carry your bag. I don't think carrying golf bags is at all. I don't think carrying anything is good for your posture.
True.
You need to be working out. You need to be strengthening your back, your shoulders, your arms. The continual movement of grabbing a bag strap and putting it up onto your shoulder is detrimental, especially if you're shite. If you do that, you might do that 120 times, 144 times around, left clean in place type thing. Yeah. I would get one of those 3-wheeled trolleys.
Yeah.
And just push your own.
Walking is the way to go, though. Although I say that, but I would never walk when I play golf because I'm a caddy.
Yeah, we're just not. You're not your typical golfers, and
we walk all day.
Go out there and walk with your mates.
Walking is the way to go.
Have a laugh, and then every now and then, take the cart. If you're a juggernaut, do you know what I mean? If you're like a 300 pounds plus, you don't want to do that to anyone having a heart attack in the course. Speak to your
maybe walk 3 or 4 holes and
speak to your doctor.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be doing that.
True.
Good having point. To save you in the course. But yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. But honestly, the last few years I played golf back home in Scotland, the 3-wheeled push trolleys and the technology over there is so much better than anything I've seen over here. It's unbelievable because obviously more golfers walk in back home than they do over here. But I see some of the carts and the push carts, the trolleys that people use. I'm thinking,
they're abysmal.
The Romans had better technology than this.
They're abysmal,
and they cost huge. Like you're talking $1,000
crazy.
For something, and you go, I could get that for 200 back home, and it's twice as good. So there you go. Last question.
Okay.
What are the most memorable moments from your caddying career? And that's from a Zoe Fernandez in Delray Beach, which is in
California,
Florida.
Delray. Oh, I was
Delray Beach.
Delray Beach. Oh, it is in Florida, isn't it? Wow.
Well, yes, it is. Yeah. There's no arguing about that.
I guess not. Delray Beach. Where was I thinking? I was thinking Delray. I don't know. There's Delray in San Diego. Delray something.
Del Mar is in San Diego.
That's true. Yeah,
Delray.
What? Where?
I went to Del Mar once. There was no racing on, but it was fantastic.
I did too. I drove. Yeah, I played Del Mar Country Club in the farms down there in San Diego.
Interesting.
With your boy. We won't mention names. Somebody who fired Gordon, but yeah,
fired me. No one's fired me. Well, actually, I have been fired.
Anyway. He misread 6 putts. What?
Yeah. Was that the guy I didn't want to go and look for the ball because it was in the swamp?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, come on.
Yeah. Get out of here.
Remember I said that to him in trainers, and this guy Zabbo knew. The guy brought a friend, like a VIP, well, apparently was really well known. I don't know who he was. And the ball is quite obviously in a swamp. And he's looking at me as if I'm going to go and be up to my knees in muck. Remember you lost the Hoka?
Yeah?
Right, I'm not going in there.
Not going there for a ball.
And I looked at him and I says, hey, it's just a golf ball anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I was thinking,
he didn't like that.
Did not like that at all. Yeah. So wasn't invited back for day 2. So
that might have been my most memorable moment.
Use your words.
It's funny. I've had a lot of really memorable moments. I think one of them was with you. You never can forget it, and it was literally so joyful and probably the funniest thing I have ever seen when Chris McCoppin said he was going to challenge the turkeys. He said he was going to, and I told him before, I said, don't do it. These are aggressive turkeys. You're going to get attacked. And he's like, I'm from Texas. I'll just walk over there and they'll run away. And I was like, here, jackass, go over there with a golf club. And we hand him the golf club. And you and I both saw it coming, and we're just sitting there with smiles, and we have our phones out ready to win. And he lifts up his leg, and the turkey's just beeline for him. I still, to this day, if I need a good chuckle, I pull that video up, and I smile every time.
Yeah.
McCoppin, love you. That was
funny.
That was one of the most memorable moments I've ever had on the golf course.
Yeah, probably Tim O'Neill making that eagle on 15.
Yeah, that's got a highlight.
That was a real highlight.
Because not only is it exciting, but you think about the potential for money for you. Same thing for me when Streelman made that eagle on 10. A par 4. When you hole out and you're in a professional tournament, and both of us were kind of near the lead, so you're thinking, as a caddy, you're like, oh my God, that's like $20,000-$30,000 potentially.
Yeah,
so it's
did I ever tell you I had money on him to finish top 10?
Did you? You probably don't want to say that on the podcast. That could be like, I guess you're a caddy. You can bet on whatever you want.
So basically, you see the odds for tournaments.
Yeah,
and if you have a local caddy where we work, it can make a difference.
Oh, big time.
So I'd asked my brother, I says, listen, what is he to win it top 5, top 10?
Yeah.
So I go win it top 5, top 10. His odds were huge.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
So that's honestly all I was thinking about the Friday, Saturday.
My bets.
And he makes like I think he was 72 at Spyglass, and I was like, out with this. And that's where we're sitting like 30th going into Sunday. And then he just goes in the tear. And I'm looking at my phone. I'm looking at live leaderboard, and no one
got money coming from 2 spots.
Exactly. So I'm looking at my phone. And I'm like, no one's making any moves here.
Yeah,
we're the only one. We've jumped, and at that point, I think I remember he birdied 9, 10, 11. He bogeyed 12. He birdied 13, 14, and eagles 15.
Crazy.
So I'm sitting there looking at my phone. We're top 7. We're tied 7th.
Cha-ching!
And I'm going, between the percentage of the money and the bookies bet, oh man, this is going to be a really comfortable, great week.
Yeah.
And then you go, bogey 16, bogey 17.
Yeah. Shit happens.
Probably 5 or 6 grand.
Yeah.
But what can you do? Memorable. I remember carrying for my dad when he was like 60. Club championship final at Turnberry. Should have won it. Ran out of steam. Referee got involved in a
bad call.
Horrific call.
Wow.
Absolutely horrific call. And he'd have been the oldest winner ever. But it was a momentum killer. What had happened was his opponent, it was a 6th hole, par 3, 220 yards. My old man had it in the green. He's 25 feet from the hole. His opponent is 3 down. 36 hole match. Had been 4 down in the morning, by the way, after 4.
Wow.
And I told him this is embarrassing. And he went on to play really good golf.
You're embarrassing the family.
I really did. I literally said that. I said,
are you a Rorson or what?
I said, this is an absolute embarrassment. I could have stayed in my bed, or I could have been out here playing golf myself.
Yeah.
Get it together. And it worked. But his opponent in the afternoon put it down in the 17th. So he's got like a 70-yard pitch blind up over a hill.
Uh-huh.
And he puts it in just inside. So he's about maybe 18 feet.
Uh-huh.
So my old man has to putt first. Asks the lad to move his marker. Moves the marker. My dad makes 3. The lad puts his ball down.
Didn't move
He's
back.
over the putt, about to pull the trigger. And the captain, who's meant to be referee, says, hey, you didn't move your ball. Right. Now that is actually loss of hole, I believe, because that's then coaching.
Oh, yeah.
So we should have called it then.
Yeah.
And the boy would have gone 4 down with 12 to play instead, and probably raging at himself.
Yeah.
But that was a fun experience.
I bet.
I think the first time I ever caddied in tour, you're kind of pinching yourself, going, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
That was fun. And then my first ever loop, I remember it like it was yesterday.
I definitely remember the first loop.
But I could give you 50 or 60.
Lots of great memories. I mean, I went to Scotland it wasn't the nicest guy in the world, but I had a trip to Scotland. I caddied in Scotland. Nothing more memorable than that trip. I mean,
yeah. You're too clean cut to caddy there, Zabbo.
It's very true. I stuck out like a sore thumb, that's for sure. I was the last American to ever caddy in that tournament, actually, for an amateur.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your questions, folks. As I say, if you have any you want to send in, podcast@glorifieddonkey.com. Time for our shout-outs, because we never timed the last time because you had to run. And
yeah. I got to shout out a lot of the people I already mentioned. I got to shout out Steve Lemansky, Steve Greenlaw. Got to shout out my Larry Atlas, Lonnie Fleming, James Forsyth. Got to shout out Doc Jim Smith, Tom Lombardo, Jerry Jacobs, Gary Grelick. good to have those guys in town. A lot of fun loops, a lot of loops with a lot of history. I had a lot of history with these people, and good to see them still alive and playing golf. Some of them are, in their 80s. So it's nice to, you see some of these people and you know them now in their 80s, and you knew them when they were, in
their 50s.
50s. And that's what Jim said. He's like, Doc Jim, I've caddied, and he's a really good player, played in a lot of USGA stuff. And I was caddying for him back when he was in his 50s, and he's 75 now. It's crazy. It's just a lot of history with these people, and it's great.
There's only so many. Once you get a certain age, you're like, there's only so many more times you'll be in the
And that's the thing. And it's funny, in this tournament, they say every year, this is the last year. We can't, obviously, we're not going to be here next year. I mean, one of us is probably going to die or something. We're not going to be here next year. I'm like, boys, we're going to see you in 2026. So we will see you in 2026, boys. Looking forward to it.
I need to say a shout out to the host, Kyle.
Oh, Kyle, yes.
And because I told him I would put this one out and send it to him. So,
and we can do an anti-shout out to Marcus.
Well, he never heard about the podcast. He'll never know about the podcast. But the other two lads in the group as well, you know who you are. Some shout outs as well for Buys a Beer. We've got a Brian Koff, Keogh. That's some sort of Irish. I'm sure that's Koff. But he's from Fairfield. Co.
Yeah.
Lydia Co. Fairfield, Connecticut. Big G, these beers are long overdue. Oh, yeah, that's the thing. If you want to support what we're doing, you can buy the boys some beers. So if you go to the website, glorifieddonkey.com, there's a top right-hand corner that says buys beers. And boom, you can do it. If you want to support us.
Please.
If you don't,
appreciate
whatever. You. Big G, these beers are long overdue. You were my caddy for 2 days at last July's MUFG outing.
Oh, fuckers.
Yes, one of those freebie corporate outings you love. I think, no, we need to understand here, Brian. I think we've told you we love them. I love them.
Love them.
As long as you're greasing on top.
Correct.
You know what I mean? The envelope gets things, gets the engine started.
Exactly. And if you didn't before, obviously you are now buying beers. So
exactly. So now you get it.
You understand the assignment.
And if he says 2 days, there must have been grease in the engine, by the way.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there's no way I'm going for...
Good point. Yeah.
You turned me onto your podcast, which I love. You didn't mention your pod partner, Zabbo.
Hey!
Well, okay.
Of course he didn't. He never mentions me.
Sorry. But I hope I can meet him also on next visit.
I hope so, too.
Well, Brian, you just tell us the dates, and we'll make sure and get that sorted for you.
Absolutely.
There was also some beers bought for an Angel Usson.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think he was in my group like a month ago. Yeah.
I was in having breakfast at one of the restaurants, and he walked up and he recognized my voice from the podcast.
Wow.
Angel. He seems like there's
Shout out
a
to
lot
you,
to be. He seemed like a character, actually.
He was a character. It's coming back to me now. He had another caddy that he uses all the time, and I asked him. It's funny because you tend to ask people what they do for a living, and you don't hear this very often. He's like, "Oh, I'm a mortician." I'm like, "Oh," and then where does the conversation go from there?
Exactly.
Because like, what are you going to talk about as far as your profession? I was like, "Oh, how was COVID for you?" I mean, it must have been pretty good for business. And then, honestly, COVID wasn't good for the funeral business because they couldn't really have them. Remember, which I was kind of surprised at, but then it made sense. Yeah,
horrible part of history. Whenever I hear the word mortician, I think about Kill Bill 2 or Kill Bill, one of them.
Why do you think of that?
Remember, she's meant to be dead, and there's that some creep.
Yeah,
I think he used to be Caddie with us.
Great movies.
And he's having his way with the dead people. Remember that?
Was that in Kill Bill or was that in Pulp Fiction?
Kill Bill.
Okay. I'll have to rewatch those movies. They were great movies.
Chris Zex. Zeches. Phoenix, Arizona.
Zex.
Yeah. Chris Sex. Always enjoy the episodes. Keep it up.
Thank you, Chris.
There you go. Keep it up. And then a Tyler S. from the club. Please tell Zabbo that the cooler on the 11th tee at Pasadena is no longer there and hasn't been for a long time. I think that's pertaining to...
You know what? I actually listened to the last podcast, and I'm glad he's mentioned that because that was incorrect. It was not at Pasadena. I got my courses mixed up. It was at Corral. It was at Corral. Okay. I played Corral for the first time back in September with the Texas boys, and they had it was like the 3rd, 4th, 5th hole, but they have a cooler rate out there, like a big patio with actual fridges full of beer and libations.
I'd love to be a part of that type of club where, you have just members living the course. And
pretty cool.
It really is. It seemed a lot of fun. So There we go. Michael, thank you for your time.
Of course. Good to be here.
What are you doing this afternoon?
Relaxing, hanging out, Ubering.
Sure. Thank you for your time. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
We will.
Thanks for listening, folks. Episode 150. Like I say, there's another 149 previous to this. Enjoy your golf, but more importantly,
Keep it humble.